This is the longest I've ever taken to make a review for a yo-yo. I've had this path now since the Five Nights at Freddy's movie was new on Peacock, which was around the time it was released because it got released in theaters and on Peacock. How do I remember this? Literally, the night I watched the Five Nights at Freddy's movie was the night I got home from work, and there was a package on my desk that had my Brexia and Path review units. Here's my Brexia. It's cooked right now because it's bearing. It's not spinning well. So, thanks, Mark, for 1, being like 6 months patient for this review, and 2, sending the Path and Brexia for me for the sake of review. However, it should be known that even though Mark sent me the Path and Brexia for review, it won't affect my final thoughts. Mark didn't pay me anything, he just sent it to me and said make a video when you can. And I just haven't been able to. So alright, here we go. When I first saw the Path getting teased around by Mark, I initially thought it was a monometal version of the Exia. Their profiles just looked similar and the hub looked like it was going for a similar goal. But once I got it in hand, the feel and form factor of the Path reminded me of the one-drop sugar glider, but wider. The Path performs better though, and we'll get to that later. Though that's not to say it's not somewhat similar to the Exia, there's a profile similarity there. Path's profile feels the volume of the hand more though. Getting into the hub though. The Path has a very interesting hub, and mostly because of this mid-wall ring ledge thing. Generally speaking, when a yo-yo uses these sorts of design elements, it's the main focus of the yo-yo's weight distribution. They get kind of filled out so that the yo-yo ends up having a lot of mid-weight. The Compass kind of does this, and the one-drop sugar glider also does this. One Drop does this on a lot of their yo-yos actually, and yeah, it's mid-weight. But in the case of the Path, it seems like it was pushed in there for the sake of adding just a kiss of mid-weight. Just a bit. The mid-weight helps remove some of the rim-weighted sensation, but keeps that weight away from the center. So the yo-yo stays maneuverable while not being super anemic. Too much mid-weight can kind of take away from stability and power. So I'm for the way this weight distribution at least looks. In play though, that's where it's important. In play, the biggest thing that shines through about the Path is its maneuverability. The Path is distinctively maneuverable. It just doesn't fight you. It's such a pleasant feeling, easily movable yo-yo. It flows nicely if you flow. It redirects so cleanly when you redirect. You get the idea. This maneuverability is made better by how well controlled the Path is. The Path doesn't have an awkward or bizarre pacing or playstyle. It doesn't jump ahead or lag behind how you execute a trick, and since the maneuverability is so well tuned, you have direct control over this yo-yo. In theory, this should mean the Path is great for speed, but in practice, I kind of find myself avoiding rail combos and speed play on the Path. It's not quite reluctant, but it just doesn't naturally step up to the speed I'd prefer to hit speed combos with. The width of the Path is massive. Yo-Yo Expert says it's 49.3 millimeters wide, and honestly, the width of the Path is where I finally must own my skill issue. I have a hard time doing dense tech as consistently with this width. I have short string, and the gaps I have to fit the big width between are just, they're too tight for me. I can't make it happen. This has the trade-off that for zoning, or if you need to catch a slack of some sort, it's easier with all that catch zone. The only detractor about the Path, as far as I'm concerned, is that it's not quite as powerful as I'd prefer. It's not anemic by any means, but just at the tail ends of zoning combos, zontals, and longer combos overall, it can be a bit shaky. The Path has the means to do the combos, but it's just like the last 5% of the combos where you have to pay a little bit more attention. On to the comparisons to help color things a bit. For comparisons, I'm busting out the Japan Technology Jugemu, Enzo Yo-Yo's Equanimity, and the Golden Standard, the original Shutter. I'm going to say this right now, out the gate. The Path just has this distinctive maneuverability that just kind of surpasses all of these other guys' maneuverability. But I'll start the comparison with the Shutter. So, the Path compared to the Shutter. The shutter isn't more reluctant or faster than the path, so the pacing is similar. Power is about the same, but the shutter also does feel a bit heavier in play overall. Personally, I prefer the path over the shutter and find the path to be more performant of a yo-yo. Things like zontals and zoning are easier to land more consistently, and I have more confidence while using the path. For things like dense tech though, the absolute width of the path does make it so I have to be more clued in during my execution than I have with the shutter. Going next to the equanimity. The equanimity is a more powerful yo-yo. The equanimity in general, it just has more kick and oomph behind it. It's not that the path is anemic compared to the equanimity, it's that the equanimity just has a lot of power. The path feels more light and tugs on your fingers, less on the string, but it also has less presence than the equanimity. However, the equanimity has a naturally quicker pacing. It moves a bit faster during play, and I find it a bit more pleasant for speed combos. Though the equanimity is more fatiguing with extended play, it has a more present rim-weighted sensation. Overall, the performance of the equanimity and the path is similar, but I just slightly prefer the equanimity due to it being a little bit more powerful. Finally, the Jugemu. The Jugemu feels incredibly rim-weighted and fatiguing compared to the path. The path's maneuverability and comfortable pacing really shine through here. The Jugemu has way more presence and the pacing is a bit more reined in compared to the path. The Jugemu is a bit more reluctant but a bit more powerful than the path. For things like zontals and zoning, I find the Jugemu also to be a little bit more stable and capable than the path. The power and shape just kind of push the Jugemu a little bit over the edge for those categories. The path is a more comfortable yo-yo, not only to hold but also to play with for longer. If you're tired from a long day, the path will be more appealing. If you have energy to burn, the Jugemu will be more appealing. The performance of the Jugemu just edges out the path, and I prefer the Jugemu because of its slight performance boost. Overall, the path is a very comfortable, naturally maneuverable yo-yo that's easy on your hands and easy to throw around. Even when it's late and my body is tired from working and physical labor, the path is something I can reliably pick up and sesh with. It's a good yo-yo. Mark did well designing it, and Jack has a good signature. I place it pretty squarely on A tier on my tier list. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. Stay healthy. Adios.